Things are really hard to value. We're often willing to pay different prices for a beer, depending on if you find yourself in a shitty bodega where the walls are lined with aged urine, or a luxury Radisson Blu in the heart of Genovia. The theory of mental accounting attempts to describe how people categorize, value, and label economic outcomes. Even though that most of us think that we act rationally, we often perform mental gymnastics to justify making irrational purchases. One category of spending that often leads to mental accounting ambiguities is when the purchase and the act of consumption are separated over time. Have you ever wondered why we prefer to pay after acquiring a fridge, but before taking a cruise? In 2006, Shafir and Thaler published an article by the name Invest Now, Drink Later, Spend Never on the mental accounting of delayed consumption. Amongst many of the cases conducted, one involved purchases of wine bottles among economists. Here it was found that at the moment of purchase, the wine felt like an investment to be consumed gradually over the years. The $400 spent on Bordeaux wine didn't feel like $400 subtracted from the bank account, but rather an investment in the form of a valuable asset. However, at the moment of consumption, say, when they consumed a bottle of said wine for dinner, 55% of respondents felt like the bottle was either free or that they in fact saved money because the value of the wine had risen since the moment of purchase. This is the basis of the Invest Now, Drink Later, Spend Never scheme. At no point in this series of action does the consumer actually feel like he's spending money, oftentimes justifying expensive purchases by seeing it as an investment, and consuming said goods is seen as free because it was paid for in the distant past. Shafir and Thaler described this as a kind of self-deception. But what if the wine bottle instead slipped from your hands and broke, spilling all over your new Persian carpet? Now, the majority responded that it felt like they had lost not the initial value of $20, but the current value of $75. So drinking the bottle as planned felt like it was free, but in cases where the consumption was spoiled, the full value of the bottle was felt. In another study concerning concert tickets, Princeton students were given a simple case. It's the spring of your sophomore year and you plan to be on campus for your last 2 years. A student organization has decided to arrange a new concert series featuring just the sort of music that you enjoy the most. The organizers have taken the unusual step of selling 2-year subscriptions to this series. This subscription guarantees you great seats to 8 concerts, 4 next year and 4 the following year. Since you're committing so far ahead, the series is priced very attractively. Although single concert tickets will cost $25, your series only costs $120 in total, or $15 each. You decide to buy the subscription. Again, like in the wine case, the purchase was seen as a $120 investment to be gradually consumed over the course of 2 years. At the moment of consumption, when the concert rolled around and the price had risen, the most popular sentiments were, "I feel like this cost me $15, the price I paid for the ticket. I don't feel like this cost me anything since I already paid for the ticket a long time ago. Going to the concert feels like I'm saving $35, the difference between what I paid for the ticket and what it would cost now." Similarly to the wine case, the respondents mostly felt like they didn't spend money at the moment of consumption. But if they suddenly got sick on concert day, one sentiment was clearly the most popular. "I feel like this cost me $50, the current worth of the ticket and the price I could have gotten if I'd chosen to sell." So the perceived value of the ticket changes depending on the situation, when from a rational standpoint it should be consistent. So, to summarize, multiple important findings from Shafir and Thaler is presented in this article. Advanced purchases are typically treated as investments rather than spending. The consumption of a good purchased much earlier is often coded as free, or even better, a money-saving event. An item not consumed as planned, like breaking a bottle of wine, resuscitates the cost and is perceived as the cost of replacing the broken good, and not the original price. On a closing note, it should also be considered that being rational does not equal happiness. If the thought of drinking a special bottle of saved wine that you perceive as free makes for a better experience, who is to say that we should all base our feelings on the current rate of the Federal Reserve's interest rate and local FedEx shipping costs? So invest now, drink later, and spend never.